Hello everybody, let's jump into a mission here. I'll show you how I do it. What I'm going to do is here, go to Freelancer, using my own aircraft. I'm going to go to Filters, Aircraft Model, Citation Longitude, Difficulty, 1 star won't bring up anything, as you can see. So we're going to go 2 star, we'll get back out of here. You always want to start out close to where your airplane actually is, then pick out all the missions you want. Another thing you can do is here, click Advanced, Wind Effect. I like to go low so we can see what the wind is like. This will be for landing purposes. Wind effect high, of course, is going to be much higher. You can see what it's like on the ground. And then low. You will need to know this for approaches and landings. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pick out a short flight, if I can find one. I'd rather go west if I can, but I hardly ever get an option to go west, unless it's a very long flight. So I can't find anything great. So I'm just going to have to take this here. It's a VFR flight, but we can check that by clicking on it. Now what we can do is, 2 things we can do. First, we can check the flight plan. Don't worry about anything except the approach procedure. It says an RNAV. RNAV looks good. Of course, you don't want it to be direct. I'm going to wind up taking teak. It's going a little bit out of the way, but not as much as the others. Change procedures. Now what you're going to do is go to the runway. Click Arrival Airport Information. Click Runways. 00 knots. This is not really accurate, but okay. It says 00 knots, not really true. So another thing you want to do is go to Arrival Airport Information, Weather. See what the wind is like. Keep saying 0 knots. I don't believe this to be true. I'm not really sure if it's something in the game or not. Anyway, we can click Q while we're here. Click Q on your keyboard, not sure what it is for PS5. And then we can go down to the arrival airport, just see what the clouds and the weather really looks like. We can also get an angle of what landing at the airport would look like, and what the airport looks like. Okay, it doesn't look too bad. I'll go ahead and take it. Accept mission. Transfer cost doesn't cost too much, so we're not far away from our actual aircraft location. Let's jump in. I was able to move this below my recording indicator. FPS is not great. Sometimes it gets better, sometimes it's worse. Anyway, I like to press Alt Q to remove everything at once. Let's go ahead and jump in the aircraft. Press Enter, see for passengers.
Hello, Captain.
Now, I usually get higher FPS for aircraft, of any other aircraft, but any aircraft that I've bought, because I only have the basic version of the game, seem to get lower FPS. I'm not sure why that is. I've installed the actual aircraft into the game files. Anyway, Shift 7, come down here, going to turn your standby power on, turn on your left and right batteries. That's all you really need to do there. Click Shift 9, click emergency lights to armed. I'd like to put seatbelts and pack safety on, also wing and anti-collision lights, and then recognition lights. That just let everybody know you're turning on the aircraft. Recognition lights are equivalent to beacon lights on any other aircraft. Again, to let everybody know you're turning on the aircraft. I'm going to go to Shift 5 now, and I'm going to use the APU. There is no external power available, otherwise it will say it. So Shift 5, click the APU to on. I'm going to go to Start, hold it for a second and let go. Then Shift 1, you can see it running up down here, sometimes hard to see. That's going to take a long time to run up, even after it reaches 100%, but the aircraft will let you know. You'll hear it when it's fully run up. So while we're waiting for that, wait and fuel. What I like to do is check the fuel. I like to go full fuel, so I'll add fuel. You have to bind the key for that. Now if I have full fuel, go to takeoff. Again, you're going to wait and fuel, takeoff, FOB sync. Then click Next, Next, Initiate. You want to take a look at the flight plan. Looks good. Anything in white, just click Done. I don't see a runway. So JATME will be right before the runway, I believe. We'll have to take a look at that. But I think it's okay. I'll click Next, Initiate, Takeoff Data. Now what you want to do is come down here, click on Takeoff Configuration. Takeoff flap set to 2 notch flaps. You can do that if you want. I like to set 1. So that's what I'll do. Default will be 1. Initiate. Check it again. Takeoff flaps 1. Now what you want to do is come down to Weather. Click load Mode Wind, use RAT, then come down here to click off data. It'll say accept takeoff speeds, but it says check flaps in here in yellow. So we'll come down here and put in 1-notch flaps. Now we no longer have that warning. Now we can click here, click initiate, and go back to flight plan. Okay, now that's all set up. I believe the GPU is all the way on. So we're going to come back here, take off the covers for these buttons here. Then starting with the right engine, click to run. Then hold down the right engine starter so it says on. You'll see it change colors. Then you can check right here, make sure it's running up. While that's doing that, two things I like to do here. Start the stopwatch so we can slow down, speed up the sim rate, and then make sure we're in real time. And I'll change it from an IFR to a VFR flight. Since I've done that, I'm going to have to reload this again. So again, go to send ATC and avionics. Hopefully it doesn't mess anything up. First engine's fully run up. Shift 5 again. Click engine run. Hold down the left engine start so it says on. And it's changed colors. And watch it run up. Ignition and 2 are running up. Okay, so we already got dinged for our aircraft being in the taxiway, even though we have not moved. So we're not going to get an S tier. This happens. It's a bug with the game because my plane is too big. So I'm already in the taxiway and it dinged me for that. Even though this is literally where you start the game. Even though the taxiway should be out here. We're too close to it. So again, this happens. Okay, one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to set up autopilot while I'm here. Set 30,000 feet. You can right click this. First left click it, then right click it to get 1,000 feet. Then we're going to go up to 35,000 feet, said it was. Go back to 100 feet. Now we're at 35,000 feet exactly. Plus flight level change. Heading bug, just to line up with the GPS line. You can see that here and here. Little blue dot lined up with the magenta line. Or the FMS line, GPS line. I like to click full screen. Another thing I like to do, switch my speed mode to manual. And I'm going to set it to 220 knots. Maybe 230. You also have to bind a key to enable that once you've taken off. We're going to get dinged real bad. And even though it says we've got dinged for taxiing, it might switch it over and say we get dinged for communications or lack of communications. I don't know why that is. Another bug with the game, which will lower our flight rating even more. Take off the parking brake. Let's do that. Stop the hold short. Request takeoff clearance. So I forgot to turn on the pulse and taxi lights. You're supposed to do that for taxiing just until you get to the runway. Since we're about to enter the runway, turn these off. Looks like a clear day, so I'll leave everything off except for these. For our passengers. Now when taking off from this aircraft, even after the co-pilot says V1 rotate, you want to wait until you're about 10 knots faster. Otherwise you could be at underspeed, at stall speed. The airplane will come back down and you'll crash and fail the mission. I've learned that the hard way when I first started using the aircraft. You can make sure you have 1-notch flap by looking here or click Shift 5. Everything is set up as far as flight altitude. Now you want to check your speed mode. Make sure it still says 230 knots. Sometimes it changes to 80 knots. So if you enable that and it says 80 knots, you're going to have a problem. So you want to make sure it still says 230 knots or whatever you set. Flight level change is enabled. Oh, I did not enable heading bug. So come down here to heading bug, click enable, and that'll make sure we can intercept the GPS line or the FMS line. It's going to take off. Takeoff power is set. That just means you have full power enabled. Everything looks good in the green. Airspeed is live.
V1, rotate.
You want to wait a little bit. So we're around 140. I'm going to take off slowly. Positive rate, gear up. Above 180 knots, flaps up. And we want to get some altitude. Just go ahead and fly straight out.
Cessna 619er, continue for north departure. Cessna 619er, leaving my airspace, frequency change approved.
So I've armed autopilot.
Moody Tower,
Cessna November 69619er, frequency change.
I'm sorry, I've enabled auto throttle. We need to be below 250 knots. Now I'm going to go ahead and enable autopilot. It's going to follow the heading bug first. I had to click it twice, I'm not sure why. Now what you want to do is you want to tweak the heading bug so it lines up with this line, not this line. You can see that here. It's lined up with that line here, roughly. Now we're in the air, we can enable both heading mode and navigation mode. So that way when we get close enough to the GPS line, it'll switch over all by itself. You can see that maybe down here better. You can see the heading bug to intercept the GPS line there. I'll do it again. So again, you can see the heading bug to intercept the FMS or GPS line there. Once it gets close enough to the FMS line, as long as you have nav mode enabled, it'll automatically switch over from heading bug to FMS or GPS. You can see heading bug is active. As it gets close enough to the FMS line, it'll automatically switch over to FMS, and the heading bug will be disabled. Flight level change is enabled, 230 knots. I'm going to set this again to 240 knots now, even 245. You see we're moving towards the FMS line. We're getting closer and closer. It'll automatically switch over, again, as long as you have nav mode enabled, both heading bug and nav mode. Okay, it switched over to FMS all on its own. Now I'll follow this to the airport, to the arrival airport. You can see the nav mode is still enabled, the heading bug has been disabled. Now, once you see this blinking here, you want to go ahead and right click barometric pressure for standard baro once you get above a certain flight altitude. And you want to remember to switch this back, but it'll start blinking again once you come down in altitude. Okay, we'll see you at flight altitude. Oh, so one thing I forgot to do, I forgot to turn off the APU. You're supposed to do that once both engines are run up. Turn this to off. Shift 7, turn the APU generator off also. I noticed that because I was looking from the outside of the aircraft. And you can see through the APU nozzle, the APU is still running. It'll shut down shortly. Okay, we've reached flight altitude. Altitude set, 35,000. You can see that here. Now that that's set, you want to look at your flight plan. You want to see, I have to click done again. Just before the runway, I believe we need to be at 3,100 feet, rounding down. So that's what I'm going to put in for altitude. You want to set this to 3,100, and then click vertical navigation mode. Make sure it's on. You can see that here and here. VPath is on standby. Now we'll make sure we have a top of descent by scrolling out. Indeed, we do have a top of descent. It's very hard to see. We do have a top of descent. Once we reach our top of descent, we'll start coming down. Plane will start coming down all by itself, just in time to intercept all the flight restrictions on the way down, such as here, starting here, and then here. And we'll have to check that. Okay, we'll see you once we reach top of descent. It's going to be a long flight. Our true airspeed is around 450 knots. Ground speed, 454 knots, 455, getting faster. Everything looks good. And I set my speed Mach to 270. You don't want to go much higher than that. You don't want to risk overspeeding the aircraft or the aircraft's airframe. We're at a very good flight speed, and we're only getting faster. Since we're at flight altitude, of course, I disabled seatbelts and back safety. Another thing I forgot to do, I forgot to set engine ice protection and pitot heat. Good thing there are no clouds around. Okay, we heard a little ding. It means we're coming up on our top of descent. You can see here. So I'm going to slow down the aircraft speed using the auto throttle to around 250 knots. So you need to be below 250 knots once you've reached a certain altitude. I believe it's below 10,000 feet. There's a flight restriction of all aircraft to be below 250 knots, right around 250 knots. Another reason for taking out your speed is You can see we have a tight turn here, and the aircraft doesn't turn so good at high speeds. So you need to bring your speed back. I'm a little worried about that for this particular aircraft. So you can see here VPATH has been enabled. We're starting to come down. We need to be at 32,000 feet by the time we reach the next waypoint. So let's make sure that happens. You always want to check on that. Sometimes the aircraft will not come down fast enough, and you'll have to enable flight level change to compensate. So now I'm going to be lowering my speed a little bit more. If you look here closely, put in 1 notch of flaps, we need to be below 250 knots. 2 notch flaps, we need to be below 230. Full flaps, below 180. Put our gear down, we need to be below 230 knots. We just need to know that. Anyway, to bring my speed back to 240. Now you can see here, for teak, it's going to be a very tight turn. That's what I'm worried about. So I need to get down in speed. Since we're below 250 knots, I'm going to put in 1 notch flaps. That will also help the aircraft to slow down. We can see that blinking again. So right click barometric pressure again, and then also click the comma key. And by clicking the comma key on your keyboard, you make sure you're at the right barometric pressure. That's important to make sure you're at the right flight altitude. We need to be at 7,200 feet before our next waypoint. Also, since we've passed all our other waypoints, this will be our RNAV transition waypoint. We can click approach, click activate approach. I'm going to take my speed back a little bit more, around 210 knots. 230 knots we need to be below for second notch flaps, keep that in mind. Okay, we are below 230 knots. I'm going to put in second notch flaps. Again, that will help slow down the aircraft. Take back my speed to about 190 now. Just make sure I can make this turn. Again, we need to be at 7,200. We're coming up on our transition. We'll be close to that. Airplane's able to make the turn okay. I'm going to go ahead and put the gear down, set up the aircraft for landing. Since we're below 230 knots, I can put the gear down. I'm going to set this back to 170 knots. We are below 180 knots. I'm going to put in full notch flaps. Try to click approach mode again. I've been unable to so far. Take my speed back to 150. Plane lands at about 120. And you can see that green dot here. That's our preferred landing speed. You always want to be above that. Otherwise a plane will fall out of the sky. Maybe. Click approach mode again. I'm unable to. I don't know what I did wrong, but I'm unable to click approach. I believe it's because I don't have an actual runway for this. So we have JAPME instead of the runway. The runway is there, and JAPME is here. So we need to watch that. I'll have to look out for the airport and disable autopilot all on my own. Bring the speed back then to 140 knots. Bring it around to 135 knots. It's usually where I land at. Okay, the airport should be just off to our left. I believe we're way too high. I believe that is the airport there. I'm going to take off the autopilot. I'm going to try to come down. Now, never do this. You always want to do a missed approach. And we could do that. Don't worry about the auto throttle, it'll come off all by itself as you get lower.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Okay, I actually ran off the runway. The runway was very short. I clicked the disable auto throttle. But I have a problem here. I won't be able to turn around without going off the runway. Yes, we do need to turn around. I was somehow able to make the turn without getting dinged again. I'm going to go and put flaps all the way up.
Already arrived.
Enable parking brake.
Company.
Don't worry about these lights. I also did enable seatbelts before landing. Okay, whatever. Turn off the emergency lights. Turn all the lights off. Turn off the engine ice protection. And just come down here. Turn off standby power. Off. Turn off left and right batteries. Then you just shut down the engines. You want to make sure in real time. Sometimes you're not. Oh, we are. Let's see how we did. We're going to get dinged. Let's see how hard. We're going to get dinged for doing nothing wrong. Airline procedures. That was not the problem. It was not radio communications. So we're not even going to make it to S tier. This always happens when it dings you immediately after starting the aircraft, saying you're on the taxiway, even though you're not. And it's not going to ding you for being on the taxiway. It's going to ding you for radio communications and airline procedures, even though we did everything right and we answered all the calls. And sometimes the passenger satisfaction goes all the way down as well. So we got screwed there, but it was through no fault of our own. Again, it will do that. That will happen to you. I'm sure it has, where you get dinged for being on the taxiway even though you weren't, and then it changes from taxiway procedures to radio communications, which is a higher penalty, and your airline procedures as a result goes way down, and you don't get S tier. See how much we got paid? Over $1 million. I'll take it. And we're all the way back down to A tier from S tier. That's just what happens over level 300. Okay, if you like that, think about giving a like, think about subscribing. So we learned something new about being dinged hard for nothing through no fault of your own. But hey, it is what it is. Again, think about giving a like, think about subscribing. But if not, hey, it's all love. Take care. We'll see you next one. Bye.